Welcome back, my little horrorlings. Are you ready for some more scary stories to give you nightmares? Well, gather round, 'cause Mama's got some good ones for you today. Okay, so for some context, I'm an outdoor instructor in the UK, and I used to work at a place that had a 200-year-old manor house. It's had a really good history of being commissioned during both World Wars as hospitals, morgues, and a planning and training site for the D-Day landings. It's also rumoured to be connected to other things like witchcraft, but that hasn't been proven. We used to have groups stay in the house during the week, and the instructors would take turns doing walkarounds of the house to make sure that all the fire doors and windows were shut, the lights were off, stuff like that. All the instructors lived on site, so we didn't mind doing it, and they paid us extra, which was a good bonus. We had an unwritten rule that you don't mess with whoever's doing this job, because it was a creepy enough site anyway, with not many lights. It could really mess somebody up if they were to be messed with, locking things up alone in the dark at night. Anyway, I was doing a walk around of the house and double checking everything. It was the end of the week and the group had just left, so the house was completely empty. I walked through a fire door which closes automatically. As I was walking away from it, I still hadn't heard it close though, which I thought was odd, so I turned around and walked towards it to see what was wrong with it. As I got there, it was wide open. When I got closer, it slammed shut. I didn't think much of it, thinking that it must have just been broken. After it slammed, I heard footsteps on the floor above. Knowing that the house was empty, I thought it was really odd. So I ran upstairs to see what it was, thinking maybe somebody had broken in. When I get up there, I start walking the halls, and I hear footsteps running towards me. Obviously, I turn instantly, but I didn't see anything. Seriously freaked out by this point, I walked around the house looking for anyone who might be in there. I got to the top of the staircase. It's as old as the house itself, part of the original build, and super creaky. When people walk up and down it, you know. As I'm standing at the top, I hear one of the old doors at the bottom close loudly. I run down the stairs to check it out, but all the doors were open. I'm really freaking out by this point, so I just stood, not wanting to move, just catching my breath. I then hear the stairs creaking behind me, and I turn round as quickly as I can to see someone standing, staring at me from the top of the stairs. I just stood for a second, staring back, but not really knowing what to do, when I realised it wasn't a real person. I got the heck out of there as quickly as possible. I have never run so fast in my life. When I spoke to the managers about it the next morning, they weren't happy that things didn't get locked up properly. They said that the original owner had died in the house, and that everyone who works there has seen something in that house. I'm working in an investigative government agency with a building erected around the 1960s. I'm pretty new since I started in 2018, but my dad is a criminologist there and my uncle is a chemist. I grew up kind of roaming the building. it's not really that strict when the entire office knows you're an employee's kid. The first story I have is about a creepy forensics hall on the same floor as my uncle's office. The third floor is a mixture of chemistry and forensics lab. It was the weekend, so the entire building was nearly empty, save for some roaming janitors and guards. I tagged along with my father, who works on the weekends, like I often do when the weather is bad and I can't play outside. I think I was a little nagging, so he told me to go and see my uncle instead. With that being said, I packed some comic books and carried my dog with me. Already, when the elevator door opened on that floor, my dog had started whimpering, but I only took it as he wants to be let go, so I did. He bolted to the forensic wing, which was where the autopsies are usually conducted. I hate that wing. They have glass displays of human parts and teeth and whatever else they can recover. They store it in big jars. I mean, it didn't traumatize me, but it sure creeped me out. Some offices on that floor had frosted windows and walls, so you can kind of see that people are inside during the office hours. My dog ran on into that part, and since no one was on duty, the entire wing was dark. I switched on my phone's flashlight to look for my dog, and it was only when I was halfway to the end of the wing I realised my dog is inside a fire exit whimpering as if he's hurt. Now, I'm a fairly brave girl and I didn't believe in ghosts, but when I took another step forward, I felt my entire body run cold. My dog's whimpering grew louder, like something was hurting him. I attempted to march forward towards the fire exit, but my flashlight caught a silhouette of a man standing inside one of the offices with the frosted glass walls. He was tall, kind of robust looking, and very still, so I know it's not just my own scrawny shadow being reflected. I thought maybe it's a janitor, so again I tried to take another step, but the silhouette walked towards the glass wall. He was just standing for a few seconds, about a metre away. By this point, I just know it's a ghost, so I run away, and the figure seemed to run with me, almost catching up with me inside that wall adjacent to me. It was like I was having a panic attack. I run and I get to my uncle's office screaming and crying and blubbering words. They have to get 2 guards to go and get my dog from that exit. The good news is that he wasn't hurt or anything. My dad was so worried that he made my brother come and pick him up. I binge watched SpongeBob that night to get that silhouette out of my head. Since that night, I also started to sleep with the lights on. The second story about that building happened in September of 2018. I'm not the only witness now. We have an office party in a nearby bar and my office mate, I'll call her Jenny, left our bags in the office with the intention of getting them after the party. I mean, come on, who likes to bring heavy bags to a party? We didn't have a car to put them in either, by the way. It was only around 7 p.m. The elevators were not functioning for whatever reason, so we had to take the staircase to the 7th floor where our office is. Between the 5th and 4th floors, we tried to catch our breath because we've been walking non-stop, and I was joking about getting old and our lame stamina, and Jenny was chuckling along until she stopped all of a sudden. I glanced at her, and she was staring wide-eyed at the 5th floor. So I looked where she was looking, and there it was, walking back and forth, a shadow figure of a lady with a veil. I swear we're so stupid and tired that we stare at it for a good 5 or 10 seconds and then we bolt away. We took the fire exit and we never looked back. The good news is I'll be transferring to another office soon. Hopefully this one won't be haunted. I've worked for 3.5 years now as a psych tech at a unit that covers the southeast portion of my state. The unit I work on you can think of as the ER for psych. We admit individuals who are having mental breaks or need help for self-harm or even harming others. This unit is pretty freaking old. It's been around since the time of Moses, it seems. Even though weird events go on, it's actually a pretty awesome job helping others out. Naturally, with the type of individuals that stay here, the unit can have a change in its feeling rather quickly. I've had individuals who I have never met before know strange things about me or about other patients, such as where I've buried my dogs to rest, names of family members, or even the streets I've grown up on. You'll get a strange vibe walking past certain patients. At times, my patients will say really creepy stuff. One time I was told, "The devil has sent its demons to watch me so I don't mess up." I witnessed a lady who came in for having self-harmful thoughts, slowly progressed to sitting in a corner and screaming non-stop until she couldn't talk. This lady screamed the same phrases over and over in an empty room. "I didn't do anything to you. Leave me alone. Why are you allowed to hurt me?" The unit also has one room I dislike because no matter what patient is assigned to stay in that room, they always seem to get much, much worse before they get better. The room is always cold when the heat comes on through the vent. I recall 4 patients asking to switch room because of the shadows that surrounded them when they slept. My most recent experience was while doing my safety check on an unoccupied room. The room door was open, which I knew I had locked previously in the shift because I checked all the unused rooms to make sure that they are indeed locked. I thought that housekeeping had come up to clean the room possibly, since a patient was discharged from there in the shift before mine. Next thing I knew, I had a bar of soap and a bottle of shampoo thrown at me. It wasn't a joke throw either, but a rip right at me. And then the door slams shut. So I obviously think that there's a patient in there now. I open the door to see a completely empty and cleaned room. I lock the room up, pick up the soap and shampoo, and tell the other tech I'm working on shift with what just happened. We pull up the camera footage and sure enough, we sat and watched the events unfold just as they had happened. Not all experiences are bad or evil on the unit. The patients will sometimes tell me that they had family that's passed on, stay the night in their room and visit them while they're asleep. Another time I had one patient tell me a giant white figure stood guard by their door to keep the shadow figures from coming in. Thank you for listening, my little horrorlings. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think of tonight's stories. Give this video a thumbs up and hit the notification bell to find out first about new videos. And whatever you do, don't forget to check for monsters underneath your bed. Sweet dreams.